online
And it's
stuff.
not just Roblox.
Yeah, it's not just
So
Roblox.
Roblox right now is the biggest one.
Yeah.
There is millions and millions of kids on Roblox. I'm talking about 5-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and of course teenagers and whatnot. But then I always say that Roblox is a breeding ground for predators. There are so many there's so many older men or older adults on Roblox talking to young people. Why? Right? Why are you talking to young kids on Roblox? Right? So there's a lot of predators. There's a lot of cases where kids are being kidnapped, kids are being groomed, digitally exploited. Right now, Florida, I think Louisiana, and I think 3 other states or 2 more are actually fighting and doing crime investigations. Like they're bringing it to like the top
Mm.
to the courts and all that kind of stuff against Roblox. I don't know how they'll bring them down because money talks.
Welcome to the Academy for Adventurers podcast, where every story is a new expedition. Join us as we explore real life adventures, battles, and moments of growth from people forging their own path. Because life isn't ordinary, it's an adventure worth living. Hello, adventurers, and welcome to another episode of the Academy for Adventurers podcast. I'm your host, Mauro, and today I'm very honored and humbled to have my guest here. Emmanuel, how are you?
Mauro, what's up? What's up? I'm doing well, especially that Christmas break is coming soon and I'm gonna be off for 2.5 weeks starting next Friday.
Well, that's beautiful.
Yes, but
Well,
overall I'm doing good.
I'm glad to hear that. Yes, the holiday season is here, the Christmas season is here. Ah, what a joy. What a
Yep,
joy. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to go ahead and read the wonderful bio that you sent me.
sure, go
So
ahead.
here we have Emmanuel Ovalle is a dynamic speaker, youth mentor, and get this, anti-human trafficking advocate. I'm very excited to talk about that today. With 5 years of experience serving across South Florida, serving youth of all ages, and nearly 2 decades of ministry work, starting in New Jersey, followed by New York, and now in Florida. He leads workshops on healthy decision making, relationships, and online safety. Oh, I'm sure we're going to talk about the Roblox lawsuit.
Yep.
Equipping communities to recognize red flags and protect the next generation. Rooted in his faith in Jesus Christ, Emmanuel is dedicated to being a voice for the vulnerable. That's so beautiful. He and his wife, Kayana, are raising 2 children. Get this. Fun fact. His favorite quote by a Spanish Christian rapper is, es mejor perder un momento de placer en tu vida que perder tu vida por un momento de placer. That is so wise. Translated, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, it is better to lose a moment of pleasure in your life than to lose your life for a moment of pleasure. Wow, what a bio. Can we start with that? Can we start with that actually? Um, I resonate with that a lot. With that because I used to drink quite a bit. And I remember like every weekend, like I was super respectful, very disciplined Monday through Friday. But once Friday night hit or Saturday night
Mm.
hit, it was like, let's go have fun. And thanks be to God, with time and wisdom and coaching and some therapy and good people in my life, that's gone. But yeah, it's like those moments of pleasure, man. It's fun in the moment, but
Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, if you're not careful,
Right.
like that can just destroy your life.
Yep. And I always tell people, listen, sin feels good.
Mm,
But it's only eating you up little by little if you don't stop it. Right? It's either kill sin or sin will be killing you. So that quote, to give context of why I love it so much, and it's by a Dominican Christian rapper named Redimido, and it's a song called Omar y Erika. And just to fast forward the story, pretty much Erika was, a virgin, a home girl. Like she didn't, she was a very innocent, naive young girl, but she met Omar, and Omar appeared to be very nice and very respectful towards her, and eventually, he took her virginity.
Mm,
And at the end of the song, it mentions that not only that he took her virginity, that he gave her AIDS or HIV. So, and that's where he mentioned that quote, right? So I always took that quote for myself.
mm,
And that quote that does not have to rely only in that area of, sexual promiscuity or anything like that, just anything in life. But I always use that quote for my youth when I used to work for Be Strong International, and we
mm.
will talk about different workshops, friendship, love, and dating, and I will always mention that quote because I tell them, hey, maybe it's not a situation where you'll die from it, but maybe a situation that maybe you'll be locked up forever or a very long time, or you just make a very bad decision that it can cost you a lot of years. So yes, pleasure feels good, and not all pleasure is bad, right? Um, not all pleasure is bad, but when you start doing things that's not meant for you or good for you, and it can destroy you, and it just takes that one moment. You may do it 30 times and nothing happens, but at 31st
On
time, that's when
31st.
it gets you.
Yeah. Yeah, that is actually that's a very good way to put it, because I would say I don't have the math for the times that I would drink
Mhm.
excessively, but I would say probably 9 out of 10 times nothing happened. Like I'd be at home, let's say I'd have like 4 or 5 beers, and like
Mhm.
after 2 hours I just like go to sleep, you
Right.
know? Like I just
Like
knock
no
out,
problem.
right? Like you just go
Mhm.
to sleep. That was most of the time. But then there were other times where that was not the case, you
Right.
know? And unfortunately, like you said, it's one time, and it's yeah. And unfortunately, it's not, at least in my case, glory to God, nothing irreparable, nothing
Mhm.
that was not made right, nothing that I'm paying a permanent price for. Glory to
Right.
God for that. But when you're teetering on the edge, you can't stay there for too long,
Mhm.
because eventually you will fall over.
Yeah.
Eventually.
People
Eventually.
always ask me, "Oh, how close is too close to this or that?"
That's
And
the
I
wrong
was like,
question.
I always tell them honestly, don't get too close at all.
Look,
Because
if
if
you
you
have
if you
to,
get too close, you're at risk of falling, high risk of falling. So why
yeah,
even test it out?
there's, you see, in life and in business, I believe that there are situations where that question is very valid. It's like, okay, like, how many hours do I
Hmm.
have to work in
Mm-hmm.
order for my career or my business that is like the bare minimum, where I can make enough money to make sure this can continue growing, that I can
Mm-hmm.
provide to my family. Like, I think that's a valid question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's like, how many, like, and it's like, I want to know how many hours it is, so that way I can kind of like put that as my standard, and I can still have time for my health and my family. I think that's a valid question.
Yeah.
And I think what people do is they take a healthy concept, but they apply it to the wrong
Yep.
context. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
So like I don't blame people's logic. I really don't, because I understand that even if the desire is somewhat twisted,
Mm-hmm.
like I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and so I'll say, okay, well, you're asking that question because there's some part of you that also wants to make sure that you don't go too far.
Mm.
But I also bet that there's a part of you that wants to see how much you can get away with too. I think it's both, but
So
that's
human nature.
it's
It's
human nature, right? Yeah, it's like I want to know. Okay, like, um, you know, how many drinks can I have before, or how many cigarettes can I have, or
Right,
whatever it is, how many joints can I smoke, like whatever, apply that to anything, right? Any sin. How, can I just take off my shirt? Like, like if we're talking about like sexual sin,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
so yeah, yeah,
yeah. No, you're right, though. That is so
yeah,
true. But yeah, that's where I carry that quote everywhere I go.
yeah,
Everywhere I go, because I mean, more for a person who is, you know, living for the Lord and living unto God and giving glory to Him, I don't want to, not only that, I don't want to fail in the eyes of God or fail in the eyes of man.
mm,
I want to do good because I love God. It's not because
right,
I'm afraid that God is going to punish me or I'm afraid that I'm going to get consequences. Yeah, you should be afraid of that too. But ultimately is I don't want to sin because I love God. It's not because I'm going to get consequences. It's more
right.
because I love God. You
That's
know?
the better, I think that's the better portion, right? Because the way that I see it and the way that I was taught is, at least in the context of me as a Catholic Christian, we have something called imperfect contrition, and then we have perfect contrition. Imperfect contrition is what you said, which is like you're not going to do something because you're scared of God punishing you, right? Imperfect, or you're scared of
Hmm.
the consequences.
Hmm.
Perfect contrition is when you do it because you love God. Like,
Right.
so it's like, and there's a reason why it's perfect and imperfect, right? Because one is more noble than the other, and one
Yeah.
is more right than the other.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that's super. And what's funny is that if you do it out of love for God and out of love for the Lord, then you will, like, not only will God, I believe God will have more mercy on you, like he'll be a little bit more understanding. It's like, hey, like, I get that you're struggling with this, I know
Hmm.
you struggle with this sin, but it's like, because you love me, I'm gonna give you the grace that you need to overcome it.
Right.
And I've seen in my life where you can feel the grace.
Hmm.
It's like you're in the I'm open, so I talk about sin. So like when I used to struggle a lot with masturbation, um, I remember those times where I was in the shower, and like God gave me the grace to like not touch myself. Like I
Hmm.
could feel that, because it's like all of a sudden it's like you go from like having this crazy urge, especially as a 20 something year old young guy, or
Yeah.
it's like your hormones are all over the place.
Right.
um, but then all of a sudden it's like you get that little grace, and it's like, oh, I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I don't need
Right.
it. Yeah. But I
Right.
think that's a grace. That's what I think. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, how how has God graced you?
Mhm.
How has God graced you?
Man, so many ways. Through so many different seasons in my life. Listen, I'll start off with this. I should not be here talking to you right now
Mm,
because
mm,
I tried killing myself in my teenage years,
mm,
over hatred and bitterness towards my mom throughout my teen years and even still early adult years that I still struggled with the hatred and bitterness. But the last time I tried to commit suicide was actually like 5 months after I became a Christian.
wow.
Mm, It was one day. So at that time, my mom was very, well, I say very cultural Catholic. They weren't really Catholic. They were just cultural Catholic. They just, well, us Hispanics or Dominican, we call them Domingueros. They only go to church on like special events, holidays, or
Easter,
whatever.
Christmas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They don't really practice the faith. Um,
Mm,
but I got, it was my sister-in-law. Well, at that time, she was my sister-in-law who brought me to the faith in Christ. And we were at that time, a Pentecostal church. But my
mm,
mom, when she found out, she flipped. And on top of that, my mom never liked my sister-in-law, for another story, for another day. But I remember 5 months later, I was getting ready to go to church.
Mm.
in the afternoon. We had afternoon services, and I was in my room. I was in the living room, and just my mom just started saying some stuff, and I didn't even do anything. I was just reading my Bible, and it got to the point where I just went to my room and I just like I screamed. She had left the house. I screamed and I got on my knees and I was like, I can't take this anymore. Like, and I literally just grabbed a knife, you know. But I don't know what happened after. And I went to church after that. I don't know what happened after that day. 18. Well, I'm 39 now. I was 18 at that time. I never even thought of suicide attempts ever since
Wow.
that day. That
Glory
is
to God.
God's grace.
That is God's grace. Glory to
That is
God.
God's grace,
Wow.
you know?
Wow.
So I should not, you know, be here, but God said something else.
Hmm. Thank you
You
for
know, that's one
sharing.
example. That's one
Yeah.
example.
Yeah, God, you know, there's a spiritual realm that we don't see, and I often I often imagine, like, what if we had the vision to see, right? Like if we could see God's angels and God's demons duking it out,
Mm.
you know? Or if we could see the Lord extending his hand of grace, or,
Yep.
wouldn't that be something, huh? But we don't see it, but it's happening all around us, right?
Yeah.
We just don't see it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a warfare. We're walking
It's
around,
spiritual
going to
warfare.
work,
Yeah,
going at well, everything's going on in the air. But you know what? Even though we don't see it, many times we feel it,
we feel it.
especially when it comes to like different events of terrible events that happens in our lives on Earth, whether it's I don't know, just natural events or crime or whatever. Like you just feel that atmosphere, like this is demonic,
Yeah.
and so yeah.
Have you have you ever been to a place where, like, you walk in and something's off? Like, have you
Hmm.
ever felt that? Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember this was 2024, and I walked into a Starbucks, and for whatever reason, I didn't feel welcome. Like, no one did anything to me.
Hmm.
Like, no one walked up to me and said, "Get out." Like, but there was just something about the place that it just something was off. And
Mm.
I left after 5 minutes.
Oh wow.
Because it was just that bad. I don't know what it was. But then something very nice happened, and there was a man who was cleaning up.
Hmm.
It was probably one of those cleaning companies that they clean up plazas, and it was one of their employees. And I said hello to him, and he said, "God bless you." And I was like, "Oh, where'd that come from?" So it was very interesting because I
Wow.
went from like this negative energy to like being receiving a blessing from a stranger. So
Yeah.
that was very nice, Um,
Two
yeah,
opposites.
Whew. Exactly. And that's why to this day, like, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It was only a year
Right,
ago.
right.
But like I remember it to the point where like I remember how I felt. I remember like
Mm.
looking around and seeing the people sitting down and feeling uncomfortable. And I remember walking on the grass and the guy looking at me and saying, "God bless you." Like I have a vivid recollection of that. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, yeah. But yeah, I definitely agree. I've been in those moments that I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah, something's kind of off here. I don't know if I want to be here or, or just off about a person,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you you deal a lot with very vulnerable people. And first and foremost, I wanted to say that I have a huge respect for what you do. I have listened to some of your episodes. I've listened to your episodes on human trafficking. I used to listen a lot too when you provided some good financial advice too. You provided good stuff, good budgeting stuff. And we met years ago when you were at Be Strong, and
Hmm.
I was working as a part-time instructor for them for a couple of the programs that they were
Right.
doing for summer and after school, which we completely didn't talk about how we
I
met,
know.
but that's how we met. Yeah, it's a fantastic organization, Be Strong. So now you're dealing with some of the most vulnerable people. You put it out there. You're the real deal. Like, tell me tell me how you got into that, and tell me why.
So it didn't happen. So like most people, when we hear the word human trafficking, what is human trafficking?
What is human trafficking?
Or yeah, most people would think of, oh, a white van or snatching kids off the streets, or they'll talk about the movie Taken,
Right.
right? Which is not really the case. However, there are people who get kidnapped. That does happen. Um, but I was, just like that. I didn't know what human trafficking was. I would just hear it in passing. But working in Be Strong, even though it didn't really happen there yet because that's not the topic that one of the topics that they talk about. But we would get trainings from Christie House. I don't know if you know about Christie House. Christie House is probably organization here in Miami over 25 years. They service young girls and they have houses for them who are sex trafficking victims. Um, and now they're actually accepting boys too, I think. And we would get training from them, like during the summer, we do trainings. And now that we're not in the school, we talk about, what are some red flags in human trafficking, online dating, or what is a healthy, because Be Strong, they focus on just healthy relationships, so it ties in with all of that topic. But even with that, I was still not, you know, I would hear it, but I would still focus on what we've been done in here and Be Strong. Then the movie came out, The Sound of Freedom. I don't
Mm.
know if you heard of it or you've
Oh,
probably
I
seen it
saw it
already.
in theaters.
I saw
Mm.
it twice. I saw it twice. The reason why I saw it twice is because I went in the back end. I didn't know that Tim Ballard, the main guy, and his wife, they had a podcast together, and they would talk about different episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the episodes was about the movie and the director movie, and pretty much the background of these stories. And he was talking about that 80% of the movie was accurate, and the one, obviously it was. So I got to know more than just watching the movie the first time. It
Mm.
felt more personal. It felt like, oh wow, I understand this and that. So I saw it twice, the second time, and I
Mm.
connected it more.
Mm.
Then my son, I don't know what year I think that came out, but my son was around or he was born after. That really hit me hard. Like now I have a son, my
Wow.
firstborn. So then I started, immersing myself, educating myself. I wasn't still yet doing interviews on the survivors yet, but I was, just learning. And then my daughter came last year.
Mm.
It hit me even harder. Now
Mm.
I have a pair, you
Mm.
know? And then from there, I just went in. I was off for 7 weeks of paternity leave, and I was just doing videos after videos on my TikTok, human trafficking awareness. I would go to the park, I would go here, record my own, all that kind of stuff, which I still do now. Um, and then that's how it really started. That's where the context of everything of what I learned. And I always say like I cannot stay shut about this topic
Mm.
because it is the number one crime in the world. They
Wow.
say it's drugs. They say it's drugs, but it's not. It's human trafficking. It's modern day slavery.
It's modern day slavery.
Because think about it. Back in the transatlantic slave trade, what? It was like 12 point something, over 12 million people that were slaves.
Mm.
But now, and this is just a number because that number we don't, you don't know. But there's about 49.6 million people that are enslaved right now when it comes to labor trafficking and sex trafficking. And 12 million of those are children.
My gosh. Yeah.
So putting those all that thought together, I'm like, what's going on? Like I can't stay shut about this stuff, you know? And again, human trafficking is not what people think. Strangers pulling kids off the street. No, it's familial, meaning it's by
It's
somebody that you
familiar.
know. Oh, more than 50% of human trafficking, or especially sex trafficking, is familial. It's whether by the parents selling them, whether it's an uncle. whether it's anybody, older boyfriend, it's familiar. Why? Because you need to be groomed, right? You're not gonna just easily trust a stranger. You need to be groomed, but you don't know you're being groomed,
But you don't know you're
right?
being groomed.
And it takes a while. So I look at a trafficker or a predator as a snake. You know how the Bible speaks about how us as believers we need to be prudente como la serpiente,
We have to be prudent as a serpent and
as a serpent.
as gentle as doves.
Yes. Now the snake, if you know, they don't attack right away.
No, they don't.
They can stay in one spot for a very long time, watching that rabbit, you know, eating, doing this, doing that, and waiting for that perfect moment to get them. And that's what predators do. They study, they look for the vulnerable, they groom them, they befriend them, they know their weak parts, and then boom, they get them.
Wow. So is Miami still the sex trafficking capital of the world?
No. Miami is number one in Florida.
Okay. So it's not
So
in the
Miami,
world.
no,
Oh,
not in the world. Miami is number one in Florida, which we're still trying to figure it out because just recently, a couple of months ago, they said that Miami became number two in Florida and Tampa took over. Which I'm not surprising because Tampa is super high in human trafficking, but
really?
I'm also hearing that Miami's coming back to number one. But Florida, is number three in the whole country for human trafficking.
So we're still pretty high.
Yes,
Wow.
we're number three, and Miami, I believe, is number five in the country as a city.
As a
Either
city.
three or five, because the numbers change. But we're in top five pretty much. And of course, because we're number three in the country, Florida is number one in the whole country for missing children.
You know, that doesn't surprise me at all because it seems like almost every day there's an Amber Alert. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy.
So that's
Wow.
my entryway to the world of human trafficking awareness.
Mm. So walk me through walk me through one of your interviews. So you interview someone,
So
they're
I
very
interviewed
courageous. Yeah, they share their story. Take it from
I
here.
I interviewed a few. I've interviewed I think four survivors that I have that I know, and I'm good friends with three of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll mention Sienna because she's young. She's 19 years old right now. I interviewed her 2 months ago. I think it was here in my apartment, and her husband came. Young dude, awesome couple. They just
Wow.
got married last year. They're
Wait,
both 19 and
she's
20.
married at 19? That's
He got married
beautiful.
last year. Yeah, they're
Wow.
19 and 20 years old.
Bless them.
So she was born. She lives close to me, by the way. She
Mm,
was born and raised here in South Florida, I believe. Yeah, South Florida. She's a mix. She's like Chinese, Cuban, and Jamaican. I don't know. She's a mix. But anyway, she was homeschooled, but it wasn't like a proper home. It was not. Yeah, she was given a phone at 10 years old,
mm,
and there was no monitoring her. Parents didn't monitor her. Nothing. And because of that, she got into the world of the internet. But in reality, the world got into her once she got
mm,
that phone.
mm,
And lo and behold, she started, flirting with social media and learning and started going to chat rooms and talking. At that time, she was using Skype when she was talking to older men,
mm,
20s and up. And she would talk about how one specific guy from Australia who she spoke to the most, how, yeah, yeah, we would talk you know, in the middle of the night all the way into the morning. And in my mind, I'm like, but what do you mean talk?
yeah, like
Like,
what would
are
you
you
talk
guys
about?
just like, what are
Like,
you talking about? You guys having conversation? And she was like, yeah, some of it we would just have conversation. Like, oh, how was your day? This and that. But no, most of the night is more just me doing requests for them. Whether, sexual requests, probably like, body parts, sharing, all that kind of stuff.
mm,
But this is like 13 years old, 12, 13, 14 years old.
mm,
And we're talking about men in our age or younger. And it got to the point where he would ask us to do crazier requests, but that she didn't do. She was like, "Oh, I want you to go to the park in the middle of the night in the woods and like Like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not, I'm not crazy. Or I want you to meet some other guy online and have sex with him and this and that. So that led to that. It led to her meeting a guy who lived also around here where we are. Older man, not old, but he was, probably in his 30s, who claimed he didn't have a girlfriend, but they would talk and they met. He picked her up after school. At that time, she started going to public school, elementary, I think it was. She was in the eighth. She was 14 years, 13 around there, 13, 14, I think. And she went to his house, and and he was very particular on how he would do things. Oh, you know what? I don't want you to sit in the front seat. Sit in the back. And then they will enter the home. Do not touch anything, whatever. And long story short, she had sex with him.
Mm.
He dropped her off home. Thankfully, that's the best thing that he did is drop her off home, right? And over time, I guess she reported it to I think the parents found out. I don't know how, but he got arrested. At that time, he was serving. They gave him 25 years, and then deportation to Israel because that's where he's from.
Oh wow.
But she didn't know. A month or a few weeks after the interview, she messaged me. She was like, I just found out that my trafficker only got 10 years because he pleaded guilty. But she didn't know that because she was too young to have those
Of
paperwork. Like she was
course.
a
Yeah.
minor.
Yeah.
So her father gave her the paperwork now that she's an adult. And she said that she's been feeling, she felt bad because she tells everybody that he got 25 years, but she didn't know. So I told her, that's not your fault. You didn't know you were a minor, but he only getting 10 years, and I think being deported after that. But it just goes to show you, like, wow, like 10 years old into your 14 years old, online and talking to older men, and none of it is her fault. None of it. No one guided her. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's a minor. And I wanted to bring up, because most people don't know the definition of human trafficking and how is a person tried for human trafficking. Human trafficking is when, whether it's sex trafficking or labor trafficking, is when somebody, there's three words: coerce, when they use coercion, um, it's fraud, and there's one more. I'll come back in a few. One of those three things, or one of those three, has to happen in order for human trafficking to exist.
I
Because
see.
you could kidnap somebody, but that's not human trafficking. It has to be through fraud, coercion, and the other word, but for an exchange of sex, all
Mm.
that kind of work, right? All of that. That's human trafficking.
I see.
Now, only for 18 years and older. But because she's a minor, those three words does not have to exist for human trafficking. It's automatically human trafficking because she can't consent, even if she agreed to have sex with the older man. No, according to the law, a minor cannot consent.
Mm-hmm.
So it was automatically human trafficking without those words.
Mm. Mm.
So that's what people need to understand of what human trafficking is. It's an exchange for sex through force, coercion, and fraud. There you go. Force, coercion, and fraud. Those are
Nice.
the three words.
You got it. You
Hmm.
got the three. So I know that I made a joke of it earlier, but it is a serious matter. So Roblox recently is facing a class action lawsuit, and I came to know about this, well, through the grapevine, because
Mm.
I do work some of my work is with adolescents, and there's someone that we know that has a daughter that, just like your story, early teenager, was chatting with someone in Roblox, which I ended up discovering was a 30-year-old male, around 30-year-old male. And yeah, so this is happening a lot.
Yes.
So what's going on? Like, what's going on there? What's going on with
So,
this online
and it's
stuff?
not just Roblox.
Yeah, it's not just
But
Roblox.
Roblox right now is the biggest one.
Yeah.
There is millions and millions of kids on Roblox. I'm talking about 5-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and of course teenagers and whatnot. But then I always say that Roblox is a breeding ground for predators. There
Mm,
are so many older why there's so many older men or older adults on Roblox talking to young people. Why? Right? Why are you talking to young kids on Roblox? Right? So there's a lot of predators. There's a lot of cases where kids are being kidnapped, kids are being groomed, digitally exploited. Right now, Florida, I think Louisiana, and I think three other states or two more are actually fighting and doing crime investigations. Like they're bringing it to like the top,
mm,
to the courts and all that kind of stuff against Roblox. I don't know how they'll bring them down because money talks. But I mean, you can see that with Diddy slapping the wrist for 3 years. Um, but
boy. Well,
that's another story.
you and I both know that. I mean, tarde o temprano, sooner or later, if you don't change your ways,
Mm-hmm.
you'll pay for it. Yeah.
Right, right, yeah. So right now it's getting more popular, the topic of Roblox, because there is a young kid, I can't pronounce his name, Schlepp, or I don't know, or maybe that's what they call him. He was on Roblox for many years, but he was groomed over the years as well by predators. Now he's still young, but he's older. So he started catching predators on Roblox.
Interesting.
So the owner of Roblox and the higher up people, they saw him as a vigilante. So they booted him off Roblox because he was catching predators.
You're serious.
Yes, it's so bad that Chris Hansen invited him to interview him and talk and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Wow.
yeah, Chris Hansen's on top of this too. And I love watching Chris Hansen stuff. But yeah, there's some videos with him, and then yeah, and I think the Florida like high attorney and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they booted him off Roblox for catching predators. You know?
You know, yeah, it's interesting because like I don't think like that's not helping their case, I mean, like they're kind of hurting themselves too in a way because it's like I don't know. Honestly, when it comes to these types of crimes, like I don't know what standard of evidence is admissible in
Hmm.
court. I don't know that. I'm not a lawyer, but I can't imagine it's going to help them.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a sad thing, and not only that, what parents don't realize is that because Roblox is not just like a game, there's different entourage, or you can create little games within
Right,
Roblox.
right.
There is a game, unless it's been removed, there is an entourage or a lobby or whatever they call it, where 5-year-old kids and grown men can be in the same room, and the game is called Smash or Pass.
Mm,
Like,
mm.
really? There's another one, whether you want to, not you specifically, but anybody, whether you agree with Charlie Kirk or not, they have created another game within Roblox where you are acting as the shooter killing Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
Like, is this like how are you how is this safe for kids, Mr. I forgot his name, the CEO. You know? That's not no. And it's millions and millions of kids that are on this game. And again, it's not Roblox. Discord as well. Discord is like they work together with Roblox. There's been kids. There's a case in Missouri. A couple groomed a teenager and kidnapped them. I think the kid flew, or I don't know how. I think they came to the state, kidnapped them, and a whole bunch of. They got caught, obviously arrested and whatnot through Discord. Snapchat is another danger because you got disappearing messages. You talk to
Yes.
strangers.
Yeah.
Instagram too.
Instagram too has
Instagram
Instagram.
too.
Yep. Mhm.
Now they added the location. Like you can share location on in Instagram. Like why would you want? I don't even share my location.
Yeah.
Like I could be in my room chilling, just watching a movie, but my location is on, and people know that I am in
People know that you're
so
at
and
home.
so address. Like why do you need to know I'm in this address?
Yeah. And by the way, the CEO, I looked it up. It's David Bazuski.
Yes.
That's his name. I looked it up because I wanted us to say the name, say his name. Yeah, yeah, kind of. I maybe it's my well, I'm not nearly as naive as I used to be,
Hmm.
but I try to give the benefit of the doubt whenever I can. I I mean, do I think that the creators of Snapchat intended for
Hmm.
people to be sexually trafficked? I'd like to think not. I would like to say the same thing about Roblox. I don't
Hmm.
think anyone intended for this to happen. I don't think so. But I think, unfortunately, because of how connected we are, it's just like you just have to. I think we're learning the hard way, unfortunately, about just having more barriers because like we're paying a heavy cost. Like it's a heavy price
Hmm.
that we're paying. I mean, these kids that are sexually trafficked and exploited, I mean, these scars are for life.
Hmm.
They don't like yes, you may recover, God willing, you will move on and God will bless you and you will be professional and productive in whatever way you can be, but you don't forget this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You don't forget.
Right. Right. And again, it's like I'm not the type of person that like just to throw the be the person blaming everybody or everything for everything. But it's just getting to the point where like we can't be soft anymore on
Not
this
anymore.
topic.
Not anymore.
Like
No.
in 2024, 300 million kids worldwide were digitally exploited. 300 million worldwide were digitally exploited.
What does that mean? Digitally exploited.
They are either being groomed on the internet by other people. Sextortion. You know what sextortion is? Do you know what sextortion?
I can derive the meaning, but I mean it sounds like you're being
Go
extorted.
give it a shot. I want to hear what you think.
Extorted. Okay, so yeah, you're being sexually exploited. Is that correct, or is it
It's there, but it's like
extortion through sex? Yeah,
okay. So
I tried.
do you get text messages that you know it's a scam?
Yeah, all the time, every day,
We all do,
every day.
right? Every day. Whether it's by a fake Amazon on UPS or just random. Like sometimes I get a message, hey, I am so so, and then I get a picture of like a beautiful Chinese girl. I'm like,
Yeah.
who are you?
Who
I'm
are
like,
you?
but it's a man behind that thing, mostly. So sextortion is when somebody behind a phone or a computer will send a message to especially young boys because they're being targeted the most and they're the one that committing suicide the most right now. Um, they'll create a friendship or some type of relationship through social media or on the phone through WhatsApp or whatever, and then they become friends. They talk to them every day and they groom them, and then they'll start sending pictures of themselves, and then later on they'll ask, "Oh, you should send me a picture of yourself." Little by little, little things. Oh, you should
Yeah.
take your shirt off. And then after they do all of those things, one day they'll wake up with a random message. Hey, I have an emergency and I need you to send me $500. But if you don't send that money, they blackmail you. They'll say
Your pictures. Yeah.
I'll say if you don't send me, I'll send all those pictures to the family, to I know where you live, I know what school you go to, and all that.
Mm,
And unfortunately, there has been boys because they're the one targeted the most, teenagers they panic, they don't know what to do,
I know what
and
to
they
do.
commit suicide. They
Mm.
commit suicide. So sextortion is growing so much right now, more towards young boys.
Yeah, I mean,
So
what do
that
you like if you're 12, sorry to cut you off, but if you're 12 years old, like where the hell are you going to get 500 bucks? I mean, like,
exactly.
you know what I
But
mean?
that's
Like
the but that's
you're
the
going to have to take it
purpose.
from your parents, or whatever, Yeah, yeah, like
Yeah, that's how they get them. So that's a form of digital exploitation, right? There's another thing right now which has caught the FBI attention called the 764 group. I don't know if you've heard of it. It started off, from what I've heard, it started by a 15-year-old, but it's a group. It's like a satanic cult of members all over the country or probably even world, and most of it is teenagers. And pretty much, and obviously a lot of it is targeting towards kids and using sextortion. These are the things that they do. They will make, force, or whatever these kids to do certain things, whether it's I need you to carve your body with my name. I need you to I need you to cut yourself. I need you to harm one of your family members. I need you to kill your pet. I want you to cut your hair and eat it. Like strongly misogynistic, demonic, like sick stuff. Just yesterday, I read in the news on I think New York Post, a 13-year-old kid committed suicide because of the 764 member group making him do certain things. So right now, 764, the FBI has caught their attention big time. But again, it's targeting the kids. That's why I say kids do not need to be on social media. There's nothing there for them overall. They don't need Roblox. They don't need TikTok. They don't need none of that stuff. There's nothing there for them. You know what I'm saying? If any app that exists where you can have access to talk to strangers, parents consider twice of allowing your kids to have that app.
Hmm.
And most of the apps are like that, where you can talk to strangers.
Yeah. So I still play video games, but not nearly as much as I used to. And growing up, when I was playing the majority of the games, because I was born in '93, I'm 32 years old, and the internet was not available to the public until I was in '93, right?
Hmm.
But video games, it took years before video games were online.
Mm.
Like, I think Doom was the first video game that was
Wow.
online, you know? And yeah, so that was, I think that was 99,
Hmm.
something like that. It was like right before Y2K 2000.
Yeah.
But I like history and I like video games, so I know a lot about video game history. But anyway, so my point is that I didn't have to deal with this because it wasn't until I was older that I had access to a computer where I could play games. And I think back then, since it was all relatively new, like I don't have the data on this. I'm just going by my experience. But I don't ever remember having any strange experiences with
Mm.
people online back then.
Yeah.
And I played online games where, yeah, you had no idea how old the other person was, but I never had anything strange happen to me.
Hmm.
I think the most strange thing that I had happen to me was like people would trick me so they could take my stuff in the game, But like, like
Yeah.
no harm, no foul, right? Like, yeah, when you're 12 and someone fools you, you get upset, but like whatever, you get over it, right?
Hmm.
But but I'm wondering to myself, like, what happened? Like, what
Well,
happened? Yeah,
technology advances, so we can do more things. You can play online. All you gotta do is go online, put headphones, and you can talk to whoever is playing in that game with you,
it's
whether you're
crazy.
friends or strangers.
Yeah.
And you never know who's being groomed even through there.
Yeah. So I know we were going to talk about equipping the youth,
Hmm.
but to me it sounds like I don't want to misrepresent what you're saying. But to me it sounds like you're saying like to equip them just means don't let them have it. Like
So,
at least when they're
so
younger,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah,
When you're younger, they don't
yeah.
need it.
Mm.
But the reality is, and obviously we know that kids have phones. If you are going to allow your kids to have phones, you're only they're not gonna understand it. Kids cannot tell you, oh, but that's my privacy. No. You are their parent. that is not privacy. You can look through their phones. All right, you need to tell your kids, for that phone, I am lending it to you. This is not yours.
Mm,
You know what 12-year-old kid is like, oh, this is my private. No, you're as a parent or a guardian, you need to monitor your kid's phone more than ever. Now, how you do it could be different with everybody. But the principle is that you need to monitor them because of especially because of everything that's going on. And you know that strangers can hop on and talk to your kids anytime, any day, and they can hide from it and all that kind of stuff. That's one thing. You need to monitor their phones. And there's um a company called Bark Technology, which is amazing. You should look that up, but they're very good with that. Um, another thing too is, which is very hard, coming from me and you too, coming from the Caribbean world. Now, I don't know how your parents were, but our parents, meaning Caribbeans in general, we don't know, or they didn't know, or some still don't know how to talk to their kids. Right? And it's probably how they were talked to by their own parents and so on and so on. But I tell parents, and mind you, when I was in Be Strong, the majority, well, I dealt with a lot of Koreans, but I was in a lot of schools where a lot of students were Haitians.
mm.
And a lot of students would tell me, man, Mr. E, like, I don't feel comfortable talking to my parents. Like, I want to talk to them more and get closer to them, but I feel like anything I say, I'll just, I'll get in trouble, or even if I ask a question, because in their culture, in the Haitian culture, at least that I know of, it's a sign of disrespect when you question.
Well, I
Um,
also I learned too. Apparently, like you're not even supposed to look at their eyes. Like when,
yeah, that's another thing too.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's another thing too, right? You're not supposed to do, and so I feel so bad. I'm like, man, our parents, like parents, are failing your kids. That is why, and again, when it comes to social media, yes, kids they do know right and wrong in many aspects. But my target is not even them, it's the parents.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's the bridge.
Mm.
We educate the kids, but we gotta educate the parents.
Parents need
And
to.
a lot of parents, I understand that they didn't grow up in the internet world. Me neither, but it was, even more them. So it's probably difficult for them navigating the internet or learning what's really going on online. We're in 2026, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah,
There
pretty
is no
much.
excuse. We have the internet. There's so much valuable information
Mm-hmm.
that we can find and know about the dangers of this and of that when it comes to social media and our kids. We have to, be on top. In other words, instead of going down their throat, you build a relationship with your child. Don't be the best friend because you're not their friend. Be their parent.
Be their parent.
Build that relationship with them to the point where if your child messes up, you're not gonna get the belt and destroy their life.
Yeah,
Right? Because when
yeah.
you do that, whether a belt or some other way, they're not gonna want to talk to you when they mess up again. They're gonna want to go somewhere else, decompress through social media, play on their games all day, go to pornography, which is another big topic.
That's another. Yeah,
Um,
that's a whole nother. Yeah.
yeah, they just want to talk to their friends. They don't want to be near their parents. Why? Because of how you interact with your kids when they do something wrong. And I know, and I'm speaking. It's a lot easy for me to say because my kids ain't teenagers yet. But because I lived it,
Mm,
I experienced it with my own mom, I can say it. Parent, we need to be careful how we talk to our kids, what words we use. We kill our kids with the words that we say to them,
mm,
especially in the Caribbean world that I can relate to,
mm,
right?
mm,
And because of that, again, the kids don't want anything to do with them. So build a healthy relationship with them. Talk to them about boundaries, especially if you're gonna give them a phone. Hey, educate yourself about social media. Look, don't talk to strangers. You know, whatever it is that are red flags, you have to let them know. Even if they still mess up, but you did your part. And you know what? As hard as it is that they messed up and you're angry and you're upset, they're still your child. You
mm.
need to, yes, there may be punishment or consequences, but you still gotta embrace them. You're not gonna just let them, you know, hit them while they're down already.
Yeah. I this is just me, but it's a lot. It's a lot for kids to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And this may sound tacky, but I think like you have to make lists, man. Like I'm giving you this. Like I like the way you put it. Like I'm lending you this phone, right? This is not your phone. I'm lending it to you, right? But here are the 10 rules, and like this is going to sound silly, but like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like you want this phone? Read the 10 rules and you're going to sign your name on the bottom, man, and the second you break this rule, like the contract is void and I'm taking it back. Cuz honestly, I feel like okay, I was not diagnosed as a child, but now
Mm.
as an adult I was diagnosed with ADHD. Okay? Now as a kid, if my parents told me four things, I'd forget three of them, and I don't even remember one, right? Or like I lost my jackets, I lost my
Mm-hmm.
Game Boy, I mean, you name it, right? The things got stolen from me. And it's like my parents are beautiful parents. And,
Mm-hmm.
and and to prove this, my mom came to stay with us for a month just to help us with the baby. So like I've got a great mom. But I wish you would have given me a list. Like, okay, Mauro, here's your list. You
Yeah.
got to read this list.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, because I think
Yeah.
I'm just saying that because like it's not enough to tell your kids one time. You may have to tell them two, three, four, five, 10 times. Remind them, hey, remember, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think
It's a
that's just too
constant
much.
thing. And
Yeah.
another thing I've learned is that, and you know this, our brains are not fully developed, or it should be, by 25 years old.
Right.
So you cannot expect our kids to fully get it. That's why it's a journey of years and years of constantly repeating, constantly talking to them, because if their brains are not developed,
Mm.
they can't. They're not gonna get it. Not because they're dumb. It's just that's just the way our
They're not there
biology
yet.
and our brain. That's just the way it is.
Right.
But as parents, we need to not give up. And it can be very difficult for parents that have very difficult kids. That's why it's important to have a community of
Hmm.
all kinds, whether it's single parents, friends that are parents, um, in marriage, or whatever. I like to be around all kinds of people, meaning I don't like to just associate like the church I go to, we
Hmm.
make it super intentional to fellowship with everybody, not
Beautiful.
just the singles, a married couple. No. Like there's moments, or there's been days with my wife and we've had lunch with women who are in their 80s. Two viejitas, just
Yeah.
us, and we're learning from them, we're fellowshipping and talking to them. Like,
Yeah.
no, like it doesn't have to be with our own, married people friends. We learn from everybody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we have to have a community, and it can be very difficult with parents, especially single parents, single moms. That kills me when I
It's
see
rough.
single
It
moms.
kills me too because I see it. Like it's hard enough to just raise your kid. I mean,
Hmm.
my baby's only 7 days old, so it's like what like I'm just getting started, right? But I can imagine like, man, if I had to do this by myself,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like
It's
I have to I have to work. I have to clean. I have to cook. I have to bathe the baby. I have to, you know, I, I have to drive to disappointment. Drive, and it's like doing that all by yourself. Like that's
yeah.
tough, man. That's
Yeah, it is. I
for
really
some
don't know
people
how
it's
they do
hard.
it. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So all in all, what I'm trying to say is that, especially as parents, we need to like educate ourselves. I know, we're not, we're not 20 years ago
Right.
where the internet was not around, and I get it. A lot of people that come from the different countries, they still
Yeah.
carry their cultural norms. And as much as I love culture, my Dominican culture, I love Haitian culture, this and that, but there's also toxic things within every culture, and
Of course.
that has to be addressed
Yeah.
because you're hurting your kids without you even noticing.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult. And the main thing that I wanted to mention with this whole human trafficking thing, Mauro, every single event that I go to, whether it's a panelist discussion, it's a Zoom or whatever, 90% of the attendees are women.
Mm.
In the fight against human trafficking, there's always more women than men. That bothers me.
It bothers me too. I think for a different reason. And the reason why it bothers me is because you're telling me that now it's young boys that are the highest threat.
In
So
sextortion.
right. So that's a threat to manhood, you know? But I guess, well, you know what? I mean, why do you think that is? I think one of the things is, I'll say one thing, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. I think men are ashamed.
That's
Like,
a big one.
it's a big one, right? Because, uh, like, I can imagine it must be so hard for a guy to speak up and be like, bro, like this guy touched me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to get looked like I was a wimp or like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
So that
hmm,
is a big one, apart from the other that I mentioned, but that's a huge one. I mean, think about it. The amount of people that come out talking about that their abuse is very small when it comes to men and women. Women are usually the higher number, men not so much because of the stigma of how the world will look at them. And because they're not grounded biblically and they don't know what it is to be a man, they don't,
right,
it's okay, it's easy for a man, it's easy for the world to say, oh, boys don't cry. You're already messing up that boy by doing that,
just
by
by
saying that.
saying that, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Men can't show emotions. No, we can show emotion. It's just we need to not be emotional, like an emotionalist person. Like we need to learn how to control ourselves. Like
right,
be emotional for every single thing, especially when it's small. No, we can show emotions. I made a poem. I wrote a poem the other day. I'm not. I mean, I'll show you the video
it's
outside of this.
beautiful.
But and the way it happened too, how it came out, and I wrote a blog first, short, and then I'm creating it into a poem of how it brought me back to my childhood. The
Mm,
poem is called Salty Sounds,
mm,
and how my trauma with my mom and how I used to hate her and I used to cry so much because there was just so much going on and I just didn't want to live life. So I cried out of desperation of survival and just pain. Now my tears, my salty tears now is a different cry. It's a cry of happiness,
mm,
of appreciation more because as a father, and my kids and it's a cry also of fear of wanting to raise my kids, in a world that's just chaotic and in a world that didn't raise me the right way. I want them to be raised better. So I
mm,
combined those two tiers where I said,
beautiful.
yeah, even though the first tier was out of pain, this one is more out of happiness, appreciation. Both tiers are molding me into the father that I am now, or man, or whatever. So I combined those. So no, I got emotional at that moment, just thinking about my
Yeah,
past and how God came in my life and all that.
yeah,
So the point I'm trying to make is that also, like you said, that's a stigma. It's a huge one. Men won't speak up. But another one, which I think is the obvious one, is that men are the number one people that are trafficking. Yes, there are a lot of women who does that, but men are the number one cause. I mean, even in the pornography world, men are the number one. You know what I'm saying? This is not to take any blame away from women or adults that do porn or do this evil stuff as well, but men are the main one behind this fight.
the traitors.
So that is another reason why I fight and I encourage men. And I get it. Not every man can be or will get into the fight like me because there's so many different things that we could get into, right? People are so not so. People are very wholeheartedly fight against if they disagree with abortion, they'll get into that world or to
Right,
fight hunger or
right,
whatever the case may be. But because for me and knowing that it's the number one crime in the world and no one it feels like the more we talk about human trafficking the less people know it's a weird
yeah.
weird
Well,
weird thing.
I think I think one of the reasons is that it's very difficult to talk about. You know, it's I mean, I two things. I mean, maybe more than two, but at least two. Um, you never know with me, but it's very uncomfortable, and I
It
think
is.
that you feel powerless because it's like, what am I going to do about that? You know, so
Mm.
it's like, why am I going to put energy into something that I can't do anything about? And I think that's probably one of the reasons why people don't step up, because it's like, well, what can I do? You know, it's like that's
And
one.
that's a great question. Go
That,
ahead. Yeah.
right. Yeah, and I that is a question because I know there are things we can do. But I think that most people will, and I want to know what you have to say about
Hmm.
that. But I think that most people just throw in the towel um because of that. And then the second thing is like, it's like you're just like you have so many other things to think about,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's the second, and I knew I had more than two. The third one is if you haven't been affected by it, or if
Mm.
you don't know anyone who has been affected by it, then why should
Yep.
you care? You know,
Yep.
I think those are three things like
Yep.
people,
I hear that one a
whether
lot
if
too.
they admit it or whether if they admit it or not. I think that those are three things that people just
Yeah. So
naturally.
the first one I really want to touch.
Yeah, let's go.
Repeat that first one again.
What can you do about
Okay, what can you
it?
do? So this is the thing when people think about, oh, what can I do? We're not asking people to come with me and let's go at 2 o'clock in the morning down to Liberty City, where unfortunately where
Where
there's
people are being
prostitutes
trafficked,
and
right?
people being trafficked and catch these bad guys. And that's not our job. It's not my job. I mean, I would love to do that type of job, but that's not my job. Like, no, I'm not a law enforcement. I'm not
Yeah,
FBI. I'm not. No, that's not. I'm not gonna get. I'm not trying to get killed. I'm not trained for none of that.
sure,
You know what I'm
sure.
saying? So I'm not asking people, or we're not asking people to do that. I'm 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 just a layperson in the community. I'm not known. I'm not somebody with 20 degrees. I'm not former this. No, I'm just a person with a heart that's educating myself on these topics. And there's so much that you can do, whether it's financially, whether it's me, for example, I do a lot of videos on TikTok. I talk about this or I put it on my Instagram and I educate myself. Or if you don't want to go that route, that's okay too. Attend events because everything starts with awareness.
Mm,
You can't do nothing if you're not aware,
mm,
right? And then from there, even if you don't really get into the topic of human trafficking like in a direct way, if you're a father or a mentor, a mentee, a mentor, or whatever
mm-hmm,
or if you're in the field of I don't know, in the education field and you work with youth or what, teach them relationship skills. Talk about red flags, boundary, all those stuff can prevent human trafficking probably without you even knowing, without even really talking about human trafficking. You know what I'm saying? There's so much that we can do that doesn't have to be what the police or CIA agents are doing in the streets,
yeah,
rescuing people.
yeah, yeah. I firmly believe that everyone needs to have a fight. They have to fight for something.
Hmm.
So, well, what do I fight for? It's like, well, it's in the name. I fight for people that feel like their life is boring, that they turn to the wrong things, that
Mm.
they go on the wrong adventures, you know? They fight the wrong battles, they grow the wrong ways, and their sense of beauty is distorted. So that's why I picked those four pillars. Like I fight for that, right?
Hmm.
And I fight, and I know it's general, but that's me. Like I talk to you, I'm going to talk to maybe an entrepreneur next week, right?
Hmm.
Like, but I want to bring, and I'm not saying that you're not an entrepreneur. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
I'm saying that I'm not going to talk about sex trafficking in the next
Hmm.
episode, but, but I want to, because I want people to know, because I think that I agree with you. Like, you don't need to have 20 degrees. Like, this is actually an argument I get into with my wife a lot, because my wife is a trained doctor in Nicaragua. So she practiced medicine in Nicaragua. And even though she was born here, she did her studies in Nicaragua, and she may or may not do medicine here, God willing,
Hmm.
whatever, right? God will guide her. But my point is that, like, she would say, but, like, why don't you become a doctor then? I'm like, babe, I don't have to be a doctor to know things, you know? Like, I just like to know things, you know?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like to read books and I like to listen to podcasts, and I don't necessarily have to have a degree in everything to at least be educated. Because I think
Hmm.
we misuse the word education.
We
Um,
tie that to school
we tie it
always.
only to school. It's like, well, what about before universities? I mean,
Mm.
it's like, what about before degrees? It's like, were people
Yeah,
not educated back then? It's like, no, they definitely were. They were just educated differently, you know? So, like, I agree with you. I think that awareness of any topic that is important, it needs to be talked about, you know? Even if you're not going to be, like you said, even if you're not going to go into the FBI, you're not going to be
yeah.
an agent, or you're not going to, you know, become Batman at 2 in the morning, going fighting, you know, like, yeah, right. Like, but I think it is important to talk about it, because I mean, it's happening right under our noses, and
It's
it's not,
happening in our backyards in Miami, and we don't even know.
and we don't even know, and it's such a, I know that theologically, like, sin is an interesting topic, because any offense to the Lord is an offense.
Hmm.
But there are offenses that are more egregious than others.
Yeah, of course.
And there are some, and this is one of them. Like, this is like, look, if you have a couple too many drinks, and you whatever, you get drunk in your apartment by yourself, you know,
Yeah,
all right. It's not good. I'm not
right.
justifying it. But compare that to, like kidnapping or raping a
Hmm.
child. It's like big difference.
It's yeah,
Big
it's
difference.
very different. It's
Very
different.
different. Yeah.
Here's two things I want to say before you probably jump into a different topic or maybe another question. I don't know because I'm the type of person. So everybody has different personalities, right? Of how they want to talk about different topics.
Yeah.
Me, and of course, I gotta know my audience
Yeah.
and whatnot. I'm a person, even with my faith, I'm like this.
Yeah.
I'm a more, I'm a more direct,
Mm.
um, non-compromising. Like I'm just gonna tell you how it is,
Mm.
not in a disrespectful way,
Mm-hmm.
because I want you to see how dangerous this is or how serious this is. Right? I'll share videos. Oh, human trafficking is this. We're number three in the number three in the country, and general stuff, this and that. But there are other days that I'm like, I'm gonna go a little bit more deeper,
Mm.
so people can understand what really happened in human trafficking. You know, and I'm thankful that I have friends. I mean, I wish they never were victims, but I have friends that I talk to that are survivors. They're experts. They lived that life.
Mm.
Gloria, my friend, she was trafficked at 12 years old through an older boyfriend who was 17 in Old Cutler Road
Wow.
25 years ago.
Wow.
So
I know where that is
I
too.
talk to these these survivors
Survivors.
because I think it's healthy. Because one thing is, teaching from the book, this and that, but when having
Right.
somebody that's,
That lived it.
yes, and I understand more
Yeah.
because I never lived it. But sometimes I'll mention stuff and I'll go a little bit raw.
Mm.
Like, do you really know what really happened in human trafficking? It's not just these easy, "Oh, yeah, I was trafficked by a guy, he abused me, raped me, that's it." But there's more than that. So here's two things that I'll say. A trafficker can make about 150 to $250,000 a year for one with one girl. Why? And how? Why that much money? The victim, they have one thing in mind. It's the quota of the amount they need to bring back to their trafficker, their daddy or their pimp. So, in other words, now I'm gonna get deeper so you can understand what I'm saying and why I share this with others so they can really know why I'm so serious about this topic. Not that others are not, that they don't mention this, but you know what I'm saying. That means that it is very common for a victim, whether a boy or girl, but mostly girls because they're trafficked the most, they are having probably 20 to 25 guys every single day. They're being raped, they're being molested, they're every single day just to survive and make that money for their trafficker. Literally. It's not just it's one day and I might or maybe I have sex with two guys tonight and make I don't know whatever I'm no, they're having sex so many guys a day, 365 days a week, a year, just to provide for their pimp. Now you may say, or anybody may say, oh, why don't they just leave
Run
that
the right
life?
away. Yeah.
It's not that easy. That's the only life they know.
Yeah.
That's the only life they know. They can't just get up and leave. Where they're gonna go? Because when a person is rescued, oh, the real battle
The
starts
real
there.
battle starts there, I imagine.
They have to learn how to live
They have
life
to learn
now.
how to be normal.
Exactly. And sometimes many of them go back to that world because they
Yeah.
can't. They don't know how
Because
to.
they don't know any other way. It's interesting that you use that you bring up this example because I had a friend over here earlier today. He was visiting the baby, and he said to me this very interesting story about he's had a rough life and as an adult male, and I'm not going to share his story out of respect for him, but one of the things that I can share is he shared this example of an elephant and a
Mm,
ringmaster. And maybe you know this story, maybe you don't, because it's a very similar example. So he said that there was once a ringmaster that got a baby elephant, and the baby elephant was tied to a pole and had a cuff around his one of his legs.
mm,
And when the elephant was that size as a baby, he could only walk so far and he could only do so much because he was only a baby. When the elephant grew up, same cuff, same pole,
mm,
but the elephant would never run away
mm.
because the elephant was psychologically still thinking that he couldn't leave. So I thought that's very it's the same story.
So the same thing. These girls and boys, they're not physically chained at all. Literally, they're not physically chained. It's all
It's all
psychological.
psychological. Well, same thing with the elephant, right? Like the
Yes.
elephant, it's like, well, the elephant, it's like, well, if you just take one step, you're gonna break that chain because obviously you're like, I don't know how much elephants weigh. I'm not gonna guess.
Right,
I'm
right.
sure it's thousands of pounds, but it's like
Hmm.
one step, and that chain would just bloop,
Yeah,
But they don't do it. They
yeah.
don't do
And
it.
the second thing, real quick, when a person smokes a bag of weed, how many times can they smoke that single bag of weed?
I mean, once. I don't know. Is it a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question, right? Because when you smoke that blunt, that's it. It's done. You have to buy a whole new bag of weed, right?
Yeah.
But a human, when a victim of sex trafficking, it's not like that. Their bodies are being used over and over and over and over by different people every single day. And I always ask myself, and I ask my friends, how did you survive this? Like, obviously, it's God's grace, but I'm like, how did you survive this of all these men coming into your life, raping you and doing this every single day? Ah, it kills me. It kills me, and I refuse to stay shut about this because it's killing our youth and social media.
You know, I I could only imagine, but I guess like they must become numb. Like
Yeah,
they probably
yeah,
block
pretty
it
much.
out. They must, right? Because
Yeah,
it's
they
like
have to.
how like there has to be a moment where you just shut down
Their
because
best friend become the disassociated behavior.
that's what it is. It's the disassociative behavior. Yeah. Because how else are you gonna like cope? I don't know. I mean like even in like for minor discomforts, like I will try to be like, okay, like It's not gonna be forever. Like, think about
Yeah.
something else. Like, don't focus on that. You know?
Hmm.
Yeah, because I just yeah, you're right. Like, I don't how how must that feel? I don't know. And I pray to God that no one else has to go through that, but I know that unfortunately it's
Yeah.
gonna happen, you know?
Mm. The
But I
reality.
how does how d- how does your faith, and I imagine that many of these people probably end up turning to faith, because
Yeah.
I don't see any other way out of this. I don't
Yeah.
know.
The
I don't see any
majority of
way out of
them, many survivors' stories that I've heard personally and online, many of them has come to faith in Christ.
it.
Many of them. Very few hasn't, but many of them has.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, you've got to have a pretty special disposition as a
Yeah.
human if you're able to overcome that,
Hmm.
without well, without the explicit grace, but
Right.
you
Right.
know, one of the things that I find interesting is that there are people, and I know this to be true because I've heard it many times, that there are like monasteries and people of prayer who they just pray for random people, And I ask myself, if God is using those prayers and just applying them to the people, even that don't believe in Him.
Right. The
Like,
common grace.
it's
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 called common
grace,
grace.
it's common grace.
I mean, the
That's
Bible said that the
right.
rain falls on the just and
On
the
the just
unjust.
and the unjust alike. Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah. You imagine if we didn't have those people praying, like how much worse the world would be?
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine that? Like, I mean, how much worse? Like, it's pretty bad.
Hmm.
But imagine if we didn't pray. Like, imagine if nobody prayed.
Hmm.
Like, how much worse will the world be? You know?
That is why. That is why I love how the Bible's. That's why I love how angels, they don't know what God's grace is in the sense of them falling into sin and God rescuing them.
Mm,
We do.
we do though.
Although like the Bible said, they're praising God every day. Holy, holy, holy. They're
Holy,
praising God.
holy, holy. That's revelation.
But they don't know God's grace in a different way that we do because we have sinned. We have failed short. We have were once away, apart from God, and how God just came and snatched us from that life, and how we appreciate more because we knew who we were before. But those angels that are up there or wherever, they don't know that grace, and that's beautiful. That's the beauty of the gospel.
It is. I've heard it from exorcists before, that that's what bugs Satan the most, because Satan's like, he's so jealous, because it's like, these creatures that you
Mm,
made, they sin and they sin and they sin, and you keep forgiving them, and it's like Satan is
hmm.
just so jealous.
Right.
you know the demons
Yeah.
are so jealous, and I've heard exorcists say that it's very interesting, but every demon had a job, you know
Mm,
and what's very sad is that they end up doing the opposite of their job. It's
mm.
very sad. So if
Wow.
your job was, like, if you were supposed to be the guardian angel of this boy,
Hmm.
you go out and you instead of guarding the boy, you possess the boy, and you cause the boy harm.
Wow.
That's so sad,
Yeah.
because they're doing the opposite of what they were supposed to do, you know?
Mm,
And it's interesting, but it's very sad. They end up doing the inverse of what they were supposed
yeah.
to do for God, you know?
Yep.
Isn't that?
Yep.
Yeah. The demonic I There has to be demons involved in this sin. There has to be.
Of course.
There
So
have
I always
to
tell people, listen, and I come from a Pentecostal background, so I seen stuff. But I always tell people, listen, demons don't only manifest in the way we see things in different churches, and they
Right.
just start slithering like a snake. And this, I mean, just walk outside and you'll see it.
Mm,
just regular behaviors of these people. Are you telling me a person that committed a murder, mass murder, school shooting, that's not demonic?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's different than what other people may see, like an exorcist and whatever, but that's a form of demonic behavior and manifestation.
absolutely. Yeah, because it's not like a normal person with normal sin, normal, I'm using the
Right.
term loosely, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to go and shoot up a school. I mean,
Hmm.
like, yeah, you may curse someone out in traffic, you may
Hmm.
flip someone off with your middle finger.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go to you're not gonna go to your local school and shoot up. Like
Hmm.
that's not a normal amount of
No.
sin.
No.
That's like extra, way extra,
Exactly.
and it's sad
Exactly.
because oftentimes it's young people that do it.
Yeah.
And that's even more sad because these are people that they have their whole lives ahead of them
Hmm.
theoretically.
Yeah.
Breaks my
Yeah.
heart. So I agree with you. I think that there is an element of the demonic there, and I think that we have to. I don't know. I think we have to pray more. Honestly, I'm not saying that I hate when people misrepresent what others say. I'm not
Mm.
saying that we don't have to be responsible. I'm not saying that there don't have to be police officers. I'm not saying that there don't have to be rules in school. I'm not
Right.
saying that prayer is the only answer. What I am saying is that we should do all that and pray more.
Of course. I mean, I think it's common sense just in general. I'm without a job. God, please provide me for a job. If you're sitting home all day not applying for jobs, you think he's gonna give you a
You think it's
job?
going to give you a job? Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Like I mean, I was without, well, actually you didn't know, but I was without work since May. I was not working since May
Wow.
for 4 months. That hurt us
That must
financially.
have been hard. Yeah, that must have been
That
hard.
hurt us financially. I was applying everywhere, every single
Mm,
day on Indeed, my wife helping me, and even with jobs that like I 100% qualified did not even take me in. And I said to my wife, like, I applied for this job. I'm not gonna say which one is it, but I'm like, it's the same thing as Be Strong, same concept, facilitation. I'm like, listen, there's no way that I cannot get this job. If I don't get this job, it's because God literally has something else for me.
enough for you. Yeah.
Because there's no way. But
Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Wow.
And I finally started working in September, after 4 months. But God, as hard as it was, I embraced those 4 months so much because that's when I really indulged myself with human trafficking. That's where I started doing my first workshop, like creating on Canva, and I rolled it off in my
Beautiful.
first workshop. But also spent so much time with my kids. Oh my goodness, so much time home
Yeah.
with my wife. Like I missed that, even though I didn't want to go to
You
work
wanted to go
because
back to work.
that's my, I can't, I'm not a person to be home all day. I need to work.
You gotta, yeah, me too, man. Yeah, me
But
too.
I enjoyed those moments. Like, yeah, I gave my wife a break from taking him to school, and it was me every day, taking him, picking him up, my daughter. It was amazing. Like, I enjoyed every moment.
I remember, yeah, and I think that's something very beautiful because it reminds me of the fact that not every season in life is going to be the same, and even within a year there are seasons. Like my wife, like at the time earlier this year when my wife was, unfortunately, it's a long story, but basically the company that she was working for, they were owed several $100,000, and
Mm.
this is a big company, and the CEO, she was amazing. She did everything she could to pay her employees. She had 100 employees,
Wow.
and she did the best that she could, but she couldn't.
Mm.
The companies that owed her money were not paying for the services. So it's
Mm.
like, how is a business supposed to last if you
Right.
don't have any money coming in, right? So
Hmm.
anyways, that's a whole nother story, and there should be justice made for that, and hopefully
Yeah.
they can pursue that in court. But she lost her job, and I'm
Mm.
like, well, I'm either going to have to duplicate myself or start working like around the clock, right?
Yeah.
And I said, if it comes to that, no problem. I'll do
Yeah.
it, you know? But because of that, because of her losing her job, she was able to apply for some help with the state. And thanks to that, she was able to get on Medicaid, and we were able to have our baby debt free, you know, and that's a huge
Wow.
blessing. A
Wow.
huge blessing.
Yeah.
So you don't know how God is going to use your difficulties. You know, you have no idea.
That is
So like,
amazing.
and I share that openly because I think that people need to know that they're not the only ones that are facing difficulty. Like
Hmm.
we all have issues. We have different issues, right? But
Of
we all
course.
have them. Some of them could be financial, some of them could be spiritual, some of them could be health wise. You know, some of them could be, you name it, insert the blank, right? But if you do the right thing, if you honor the Lord, there's no way that that will not be used for good.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. He will honor that.
you will honor that.
And in our way, in the way he does it and how he wants it.
Yeah, exactly,
And
and that's important because it's not a genie, right? God's not a
exactly.
genie. He's not going to give you what you want when you want it, and I learned that
Exactly.
the hard way.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Right.
my gosh, Emmanuel, this what a joy this has been. How how can people get in touch with you?
So, I mean, I'm all over social media. Um,
The good way though. The good way. Yeah,
yeah, the good
the good way.
way. So if you want to know, well, I mean, we've been speaking a lot about human trafficking, but I do a lot of videos on human trafficking awareness on my TikTok, and I'll share my videos on Instagram, but mostly TikTok. But I do have a specific page just for human trafficking on Instagram. Both handles are the same name, which is God. It's God hates it, but a dot for each word. So God dot hates dot it. Now people ask me, God hates what? I'm like, God hates human trafficking. So that's one of my Instagram pages, and that's my TikTok. My TikTok is more videos that I do on that. But I also do interviews, of all different kinds, but mostly I've been doing just on human trafficking. My YouTube channel is my last name, Ovalle Inspiración.
Yes,
It's inspiration but in Spanish. So Ovalle Inspiración. I have a whole playlist of like I think over 50 interviews that I've done since COVID and now till now. So yeah, but my TikTok is the main one that I do a lot of videos on human trafficking
that's
awareness.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, you heard it here, folks. Thank you for tuning in. And Emmanuel, it was such a pleasure to have you here. Everyone watching, check out his work. He's done great work. You don't have to wake up at 2 in the morning and go fight crime, but at least say a prayer, raise awareness, share this video, share a clip, whatever, because this is a huge monster. And I know we talk a lot about positive things on this show, and we talk about adventure, and we talk about how we can grow and how we can appreciate beauty, but we can't have all those things and we can't have those conversations if our society is falling apart. And this is one of those things that's causing it to fall apart. Sexual trafficking is a huge monster. We need to fight it. So you wanna have a battle, that's a good battle to fight. So thank you, Manuel. Thank you for joining us.
Of
May God
course,
bless you always,
anytime.
bro.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone, get out there. Remember, every step of your life is an adventure, and you're the hero of your own story. We'll see you next time. God bless.